Greg Thompson-Wood, your host on Teaching with Board Games, and I was, for this month of November, it was my intention to do, once I'd finished that Orc Shuta that I'd finished painting, and I posted the video for last night, my intention was to do another game video, like I've done the Advanced Space Crusade, Space Hulk, and have I done Space Hulk? I don't know if I've done Space Hulk, but I was thinking about doing another game, but things have been running late this year because of something that I had as definitely was a goal to get it done, because I had until November 27th to get it done, but I'd never mentioned anything in my goals that I post, or I hadn't mentioned it on the channel. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to just let this one go to waste. I put so much time and effort into this. This is why everything was getting pushed back so far, because this was such a humongous task. It was an enormous. It took me about 50 to 100 hours to put together, and I'm talking all around this thing without even telling you what it is so far. But I think if you come into this video, you know, I probably would have set up a title page and everything, so you have some idea. But what it is I've done an online escape room challenge. Now, what I do in my classroom as a classroom management system, sort of help to motivate them to do the things I want them to do, it works ridiculously well too, is what I call an XP system. You know, it's a MMO, like a multi what online? Anyway, it's just a different MMO. It's not really MMO because it's not all online, but I do what the students in my class have different ways that we do different things here. So there's an XP system here. You can see I have this file here, and it's just called XP. And I'm not going to open this up and show the students' names, but what it is, it's where I track the students' experience points and things. And I can make a dummy copy of that to show later if I want to do a whole video just on the XP system alone. Students, we can have head-to-head battles where they can then use powers depending on their experience levels. They can gain more powers and everything. But just want to talk about the online escape rooms that I was doing, because that's the topic here for today. So I started this last year. I did a course that was being offered by the board on online escape rooms. So I learned some tricks there, and some ideas of how this might work. And so I've been using that and developing and finding out more and more things to build upon that. And I started to put some of that together last month. For every month, what I have with this XP system is a boss challenge. Now, with the boss challenges, I have an extra thing where the students have to be what's quote unquote boss worthy. And that means they have to do certain things, whatever I deem that they need to do in order to be quote unquote boss worthy. So it might be you have to have all of these assignments done. If there's certain assignments I'm having trouble getting them to hand in, I want to see them all done and handed in. If just a simple assignment. This month it was an IXL program that we do for math practice, and I said I want, over the course of the month, from November 1st to November 27th, when it was, you have to have 90 minutes logged on IXL doing math. Just 90 minutes. So it's a little over a minute a day. And so I thought it was completely reasonable, but some students still were putting it to the last minute. But in the end, everybody made it. Everybody completed their obligations, and so everybody took part in the challenge, which was great. And so that's for November. October was a different story. Some students were a little shy of the expectations on that one. And in the October challenge, I just want to sort of touch on that one first, because this was my big first foray, if you will, into the making my own online escape room in this way. I've done similar things, but nothing this ambitious. And I only had like 3 or 4 days after I'd done everything I was doing for my food safety course, and it was I had no time to really do what I wanted to do with this with the October one. So I thought, you know what, I still had this sort of fire in me to I could do better. So I put it all into this one. So so just now, one other thing I also realized during that October challenge, we did an online escape room, but as I said, was not as elaborate as I wanted it to be. But one thing I was also finding that just drove me nuts was that some of my students were shouting out the answers to things to each other. So it just really kind of ruined the whole experience, because it's like you're supposed to be figuring this out. And so people were going into things and doing things without knowing why they were doing it or how, or whatever. They weren't finding the right clues. They were just knowing what the answers were to be able to pass through, like, without a key, if you will. So I was thinking, how am I going to circumvent this? I don't want that same thing happening with this challenge. So I'll talk about how I dealt with that one later. But so November, like every month has a different boss, and October was obviously a Halloween themed boss. It was a giant pumpkin monster named Vinekin Pump. November, because I didn't have anything else for it. It's just I had created before this one called Monsieur Mal, and Monsieur Mal is a French mime. Well, he pretends to be French anyway, and unlike a proper mime, he talks, and he's rude and he's arrogant, and he makes fun of anybody who's not good at French. The ironic thing is he's terrible at French, so the students were always just correcting him before. This time what I did is I escalated the thing, I upped the game, and made Monsieur Mal into a social media legend that the people of France have fallen in love with, and they were going to rename the Eiffel Tower after him. Well, the French teacher from our school was informing the kids this could not happen, used her magical French powers to transport the kids to France to stop them. So they had to explore Paris, find what they need to find in order to then stop Monsieur Mal. So I'm not going to give anything away really about the challenge and how it works and runs, because if you'd like to, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do it yourself too. So yeah, this one was just, I want to just continue flexing those escape room muscles, build on it, and just do better and see what I could do if I really pushed myself, and I really pushed myself. So the whole escape room thing is done using forms and slides. So these are all the bosses that I have. So you have Iqbal the Eyeball, Bookworm, Vinekin Pump, Mime, which is Monsieur Mal, Santa Claus, Old Man Winter, Stupid Cupid, and so on. So go into the file here. So I've got Mime. So this was all the old stuff I had before. So just I'll show you a quick thing. So like if you defeat him, soundly, then you get what's called, for each box you get a badge you can keep. That was the thing of the badge. That's Monsieur Mal there. I found a picture of online somewhere, and that's been my Monsieur Mal for years. But yeah, I used old slides and stuff for Monsieur Mal before. But so like I said, this is the old stuff, and this is now the new stuff here in Guts. So Guts is the guts of the whole program. So I just sort of divided to Guts, right? Whereas making and finding pictures, I put them all into the picture storage to see if I want to use them. But let's just jump into the scenes then. So in the scenes, again, I was organizing things to know what I needed for what, and so there you have the introduction. The introduction is where the French teacher, Bumi Monbouf, is telling the kids about Monsieur Mal. I cannot open the slide because that's going to cut off the recording. I was practicing a little bit first just to see if everything's going to work, everything's working properly. It cuts off the recording if I opened, actually no it doesn't. Only if I go into slideshow mode. So I can open this. Yeah, it's still recording. And so I have the slides here. And I love this picture of Monsieur Mal here. It looks so devious, sinister. And so she's explaining to the kids what happens. But if I hit the slideshow button here, it's going to cut off the recording. So yeah, so there's this. Now the thing is like for whatever reason, when I shared this with the students, this one, it didn't, it's supposed to share in a presentation mode. So not looking like this, where you see the slides on the side. It should be as if I hit the slideshow button. And there's a way to do that, which I'll explain in a moment. But it wasn't. So there are still a few kinks I'm working out of it. But yeah, so that's the introduction. And then she transports them to the center of Paris. And so there's the Eiffel Tower. Now, each thing here, so this is center slide 1, and if you look at center slide 1, it will look actually identical to center slide 2, which is then identical to center slide 3. Right? So what you're not seeing, though, is the fact that it's the links that are here. Right? So the links are different for each of these center slides, because on this one, this is the final one. So now the objective is to go to the Eiffel Tower to take on Monsieur Mal, right? So down here is a restaurant, and down this street is a TV studio. So yeah, so there's different scenes, different places within those. There could be different things. So like the Eiffel Tower has a few different scenes. So Tower 1, then a van comes later, then you have the finale, and then all the forms. Because what's done here is everything's done with Google Forms. So if I open this up, you can see there's a whole bunch of forms here that are created. So for everything that the students can interact with, it's a Google form. So if they can click on a cloud, they can click on the cloud and a Google form pops up, and it says what it says, right? So sometimes there's something for them to interact with, something for them to find, maybe a new link, different things for different situations. Excuse me. And so one thing those the students were not is, despite my constant reminders and encouragement, you have to read what it says. Don't just flick through the slides. Don't just jump through the forms and just jump to the end of it. You have to read what it says, because sometimes you'd open a form and it would say click here, and you'd have to click in that spot to be taken to the next proper place, right? Because the way that the Google Slides work, you have to go to that slide, because you're not going to get there unless you're led there by that link. So yeah, so it really need to make sure the students are reading carefully on that, because that was a bit of a things they were doing. They were just, because the stressful nature, the situation of the whole escape room, they're just rushing. They were in a panic mode for the whole time, which is funny. So in making this, so as just to sort of back up, when I was creating this, starting off, I really was making it up as I went along. I had some rough ideas of what I wanted. Like, I knew that I wanted them to explore, that it wasn't just going to be railroaded. You can only go this direction, then you have to find this thing, then you have to do this thing there, and then you're led over to here, and that's the only choice you have. They had 4 different locations they could go. They could go to the in front of the TV studio, they could go to the Center Street, they could go to the restaurant, or they could go to the Eiffel Tower. And where did they go? I mean, there was a correct place to go that they had to eventually find what they needed. But even then, it was where they went to one place and they found something with a name on it, and they thought, well, I want to use the name here. Well, the name wasn't for there. They had to take that name somewhere else to use it. So they just were really getting stuck in places because they weren't reading what was said. It was clear if you read what it said to do with the name when you get the name, but they weren't reading. So yeah, I knew I had the explorations that I wanted. I wanted, like, again, keys, and the keys that were found, that they wouldn't open, quote unquote, unlock something in that space. It had to be taken to another space to be used, and that's what I'm saying. So when they find something in point A, it's not going to open anything in point A. You have to take it over to point X, and it's going to open something there. That's going to then lead you to the next thing, right? So but it was all, once you found things, it was led. Right? They did have the clues they needed. It's a French challenge, and I mean, my students are not French immersion, so it did have to be simple enough that they could understand it. And and the finale, we'd had announcements on. We have online announcements for the whole school, and since the beginning of the year, there's been these 5 phrases that have been repeated every day on the announcements, and so we would look over them. But as I started to think about this challenge, I started reading them out loud to the students every day, and they didn't clue in, but that was the finale. Those 5 sentences were the finale. They had to, I put them all into, I used a special program, a Flippity program, to separate all the words, and they had to rewrite the sentences and then type them in based on that. So yeah, they had to know those 5, and so when they saw it, they're like, oh, that's something that look of realization, like, this is why he kept reading those sentences day after day after day. So Copilot, I used, and sometimes I was getting stuck on spots, and I just run to Copilot or ChatGPT and say, okay, this is what I'm thinking of. What would be some good ideas to do here? and they would throw out, they'd want to do everything for me, and it's just like, yeah. Sometimes it'd be a good idea, sometimes a not a good idea. I mean, but it's sometimes just good to just get some ideas and bounce them off, because I feel like collaboration is really important, and so I was collaborating with them. But another thing I wanted was lots of distractions, right? So it wasn't, again, just you go here, this is the only thing you can do because it's the only thing you need to do. It's like, just wander over here, and you can look at these things, and you can look at this shop, and you can look at the clouds. Every cloud is you can interact with, and every cloud asks you, what do you think it looks like? And I had one group that was just answering every cloud what it looked like, and the student was like, I'm answering, but it's not doing anything, it's not giving me anything. It's like, okay. I mean, and so they got really frustrated later when they realized I told them that it was all just a distraction, because they thought they could have maybe done better, finished quicker. Well, certainly could have finished quicker because they spent way too much time on that. But I said to them, it's like, imagine you're on this mission for real, and you're in Paris to stop this nasty mime guy, and what are you doing? You're wandering around, hey, look at that cloud. What does it look like to you? So, yeah, I said, you had to focus. So yeah, so using slides then, let me go back to the slides here. I'll go, let's go to, well, let's just see, let's go to the center slide. All right, so we'll go to center one, and when you come into here, so when, like I said, I can't open the slide to show you, but I can probably click here. So yeah, so if I click there, you see I put a box around this, and this is now a link to this thing. So if you click the link, it's going to take you to that that Google form, which then you can interact with. And each, like I said, each cloud is a link that you can interact with. Coming down here, this is, clicking over here takes you over to the TV studio. Clicking over here takes you to the restaurant. But you can inspect the bakery here. The shop has a thing you can look at. So there's all kinds of things for you to look at. So that way it's you don't know what you're looking for. So you just maybe have to explore and see what you can find. And yeah, so sometimes the Google Forms would. So like let's just go to this one here. Okay, so the Google form here says, oh, okay, so Zut alors, the whole shop's dedicated to Monsieur Mal. So it says submit, but you can submit it, but there's nothing for this, right? For this, it's just close the thing and move on. Actually, what I meant to do was click this one. So clicking here, you have some of these. What I did it with a built-in option system. This is something, again, I was pleased with, because it was things like this encourage me to develop, to move myself beyond, and to learn more. So I found out almost like a choose your own adventure, depending on, you click yes, you click no, where's the answer going to go with it? So if you say no, well, it says no back arrow, but it can take you back. If you click yes, well, actually, so I guess this one doesn't work like that. Okay, you click next, and it's, ew, you're digging through the garbage. But there's sometimes where it's just like, it'll say something like, do you want to go here? And you say, no, I don't. Depending on what you say, it will take you to different links. And let me show you in the forms for this how that works. So go back to the slides. So, so center slide. So here's the forms for the center slides. Actually, I don't know if there's any in there. So let me go back. Let's go restaurant. I know in the restaurant there's one. Maître D. Okay. So, oh, I don't want the Maître D. I want the form. Sorry. So, line gone. Kitchen doors. Maître D. Okay. So go to the Maître D. So he's going to ask you. So this is the editable version that you can use. So it's saying what the students. Now on here. So you see what I've done is, he's asking if you have a reservation, and, even though it's all in French, it's pretty easy for the students to understand. But from here, so one, I made it a required answer. They have to answer him, unless they just click back and, run away from him. But they're not going to get anywhere if they don't talk to him. And so the options then go to the section based on the answer. So if they say, no, I don't have a reservation, then it just continues to section 2. If they say, yes, they have a reservation, then you continue to section 3. See, so I thought that was kind of an interesting feature that was now making more interest, the escape room thing more interesting. I was able to do more with it because I'd learned how to do this. So, yeah, this is only available if you're doing multiple choice. You can't do it like based on what they type or anything like that. So, but it was still pretty cool. What else did I learn? So requiring expected answers. Yeah, so expected answers means it's required, and where to go based on the answer given. Exactly. Okay, so now when I ran it, I scheduled 2 40-minute periods. Our school runs on 40-minute periods, and I had 2 40-minute periods for the students to do it. And by the time that we got in, got them settled, and then I explained everything to them, got them into their groups, because I had them in groups of 4, they had about 60 minutes left to do it. Now, what I did this time, because I was so frustrated with the students shouting out answers, by putting them in the groups of 4, I then told them whoever finishes first, second, third get more XP than everybody else. So it was now a contest. It was a race, and so it was, besides the screaming of joy and frustration, whatever, it was pretty much, people were very careful not to be sharing any information with anybody else because there was points on the line, and so that was a really big win for me. I was really happy with that part. Yes, I was also wondering, okay, being the first time I'm running this, how long is it going to take? Because the last one, I thought, okay, this is going to take them maybe a whole period, like 40 minutes. I was going to be done in like 10, 15 minutes. So I was like, eesh. So this one, I thought, okay, so are they going to finish within the hour? Or are they going to finish within 20 minutes? And one group got to the finale within 20 minutes. And I'm like, ugh, geez, Louise, I put all this time into it, and they're still finishing too fast. But they actually ended up finishing second, and that's not because the other groups finished super fast. So it all ran about the time I'd expected. So nobody finished, the first person to finish, I think, took them like 40, 45 minutes. And then the second group finished very shortly after that, and the third group a little bit after that. So when there was like 5 minutes left or something, I think everybody except one group was in the finale, and so I just put the answers, I put the announcement page back up on the screen so they could just type it in, just so they could at least get there. Yeah, so that was, just to allow them to finish because they were close. The group that didn't finish was because they weren't reading the things. They were trying to rush to the tabs too quickly, weren't reading the expectations, and so they didn't finish. They didn't complete. So that is again part of the, if you're in an escape room, you have to think about what you're doing. You have to understand what you're doing. You're not just trying to rush through everything so much that you're not paying attention, and they weren't paying attention. And yeah, so that is how that one worked. Like I said, it's still a little bit rough around the edges. Some students, they would have a whole just army of tabs at the top of their thing, and they just kind of keep, oh, hold on, what did that say? And they kind of click the tabs, and they keep losing their place where they were and things. So I'd like it, find a way, if I could, to maybe tabs close after they're done, or it stays in the presentation mode that you can't see the other tabs and things. I don't know. It's again, work in progress, but yeah, and it's also too when it's sharing I have to show you how that works too with these slides. So when you are sharing the slide, so when you link from one slide to another, so you look at the top of the slide here in the address bar, right? So I would copy this slide name, but where it says edit here, you make it present. And when it has the link now as present, it goes directly into presentation mode. And so it works as with all the links and everything. You're not seeing the sides. You're not. This is called editing mode now. It would put it into the proper presentation mode, which I can't show you. Otherwise, it would shut down my recording. So that. When I was sharing the initial introduction to them. So when I shared this introduction slide, which then links them into the thing, this one was not in presentation mode from the email, and this one did not link to, the center one did not link in presentation mode, even though I typed it properly, so I don't know why that was. So again, little things for me to figure out, minor things, but then, of course I'd want to look at maybe improving, building on it next time. But like overall, like I'm just very pleased with how it turned out, because it was a lot of work. I'm exhausted from it, but I'm pleased. And I will revisit it again, tweak it and everything, as well as of course the October challenge, which I feel was just a rough copy of what I wanted it to be. And maybe another one I'll do later in the year, but I'm certainly not going to do this for every month, because this was just too much work. I'm not going to do that myself. But it was a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend it for anybody who's ambitious enough to try taking some of this on and just see what you can come up with. Now, some people have been telling me that should try and monetize it, maybe through Teachers Pay Teachers or something, but I think first really what I want to do is just smooth this thing out. There's a lot of rough spots still in there. So to that end, if anybody who's watching this would like to play, I am putting a link in the comments section below. Like I say, just make sure that when you're opening it up with the Madame Mambuth here, that you put it into slideshow mode, and if the link to the Silencer slide doesn't go into presentation mode, just make sure you go in presentation mode. And I'm going to look at some of those other issues I've had and how I might work those things out and just make it all run smoother. But that's it. So that is my November Monsieur Mal challenge. Like I say, try it out, have some fun. If you want to use it with your class, if you're a teacher watching this, by all means, go for it. If you want to change Madame Monbouth for the French teacher at your school, you have my blessing. Go for it. Have some fun with it, and let me know how it goes. But until next time, I'm your host, Craig Thompson Wood, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.